Throwback Thursday. Welcome in to Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton. That is Wade Neely coming to you from the Lee Company studios of our respective homes in southern Middle Tennessee. Be here with you for the next 2 hours, talking local, regional, and national sports as we always do from 2 to 4. Wade? How's your Thursday so far? How's your bracket so far, Wade?
Bracket just took its first casualty, Mo, as BYU let me down. We had Michigan State, but BYU lets me down. So no chance at millions this year, I suppose.
That's unfortunate. I was kind of banking on you making those millions because, once again, I did not do a bracket for that very reason.
So no millions.
I probably would not have picked Duquesne either.
Yeah, that's the good news is the big pool that I play every year with friends from college. We not many folks had Duquesne, so we're still sitting in pretty good shape.
Wade, I lost you. No. Mark, can you hear me?
You're good.
Okay, I'm good. We just lost Wade's audio. That's probably not a good thing. Hopefully we can get that back here in the next bit because I'm not sure that I am talented enough to carry this show for 2 hours by myself. But, we are pleased to be able to bring you in the second hour. Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 will be talking little basketball. Imagine that. Particularly from a Southeastern Conference perspective, but I'm sure we'll expand on that as well. We had Mississippi State go down as Wade was saying just a little bit ago. We've got Tennessee playing later tonight against St. Peter's, so there is Southeastern Conference flavor all across this bracket. Wade, can we hear you now? Nope. Still cannot hear you. We can see you. Can't hear you. Keep playing with that. See what you can figure out. Also in the second hour, it is Throwback Thursday, and we will be throwing it back to the interview that Wade and I had from the Murphy Center last week with Middle Tennessee State football coach Derek Mason. We were excited to be able to get a few minutes with him. He was excited to be with us, and so we're going to listen to that one once again. Here in our next segment on Coach's Corner, we will be joined by Class 4A State Championship boys basketball coach Mark Wilkins of Independence High School. Looking forward to visiting with him. I got a chance to talk to him for a little bit Saturday right after that 53-44 win over Cookeville, but now that he's kind of had a chance for that gold ball to settle in, we'll see where it is, among other things. So we'll be talking with him. Third year, all he's done is go to a sectional and 2 state tournament championship games, winning one of them. So, again, Mark Wilkins of Independence will be joining us in Coach's Corner in our next segment. Also, again, gonna talk some hoops. We'll probably delve a little bit into the women's bracket as well as we'll get into the rundown here in just a bit, and Vanderbilt picked up a big victory last night in the first 4. So a lot to talk about with women's hoops as well as with the guys, and we're going to try to touch on a little bit of both of those as well, and some Major League Baseball. There's some interesting stuff going on out there, so we will get into that as well. Still efforting to get Wade on from an audio standpoint, I guess. Mark, any update?
Wade has left the building.
Wade has left the building. That's not promising.
No, he's probably rebooting.
Yeah, okay. All right. Hey, while we're waiting on Wade to get back in and get rebooted, Mark, did you do a bracket? Do you do a bracket?
I did not do one. No.
Do
I have done it before in the past.
You have, but you did not. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. I understand. Yeah, I think I can. I find that I can enjoy the tournament a little bit more when I don't do a bracket.
Yeah, a little less.
Little less stress. There's a little less investment because I'm competitive like that. And I'd have been all up in arms over 11 seed Duquesne beating 6 seed BYU, even though you can always count on a couple of those double digit seeds to come through like that from year to year, as we talked about during our top five Tuesday with our top March Madness moments. The tournament is typically littered with those, but hitting on the right one is the key, and I never seem to be able to do that. So, um,
I will say this: a month ago, I told somebody that I thought Arizona might go all the way, but that was a
that's a
month
s-
ago.
that's a solid pick. Now a lot can change in a month, but
Hmm.
over the long scope of the season, Arizona has been one of the top 6, 8 teams in the country probably, and I think that's the key thing in this tournament is that I don't know that there is any drop dead favorite. So Arizona is not a crazy pick by any stretch.
Still
So
not crazy, but we'll see.
yeah, we'll see.
What's crazy is if this microphone works now.
It does, and we are now being entertained by the sultry tones of one Wade Neely. Welcome back.
Glad to be back. You see what happens? We lose one game in the tournament, and everything goes to you know what in the handbasket.
Well, I tell you what, you are not as glad to be back as I am to have you back. Let me just say that because the prospect of doing 2 hours of this solo, not appealing. Not appealing. So, welcome back. And now that you are back, we should probably, with no further ado, are you good? Are you ready? Are you up to speed?
Yeah, let's roll, baby.
Okay, well, let's give the people yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
We begin the rundown baseball scores from yesterday, and it was Albertville, Alabama, putting up a 9-7 victory versus Liberty Creek to kick things off. Bartlettsville, Oklahoma, 10, White House Heritage 2. Brentwood defeated Summit 7-1 yesterday. CPA all over Brentwood Academy 13-3, your final there. Blackman wins at 5-2 versus Coffee County. One-run ball game in favor of Columbia. The Lions win at 1-0 over Dixon County. Friendship
Coverage
Christian.
at coverage of that thriller at mainstreetmurray.com, by the way.
Bada bing, bada boom,
There we
as
go.
Columbia stays hot. Friendship Christian 12, Pope John Paul II 5. Stewart's Creek put up 4 runs in a 4-1 victory versus Green Hill. Independence 14, Nolensville 6. Lebanon a 10-6 winner versus Gordonsville. Good Pasture wins at 5-3 versus Lincoln Christian, Oklahoma. It was Lipscomb Academy 6, MBA 2. Mount Pleasant 4, Cornersville 1. Page wins at 7-5 versus Centennial. Richland puts up 10 runs, blanking Community. Nice 10-0 victory there for the Raiders. Siegel with a 3-1 win versus Oakland. It was Hendersonville versus Salam Springs, Arkansas. 11-1 there again, your final. Henderson follows with a 10-0 victory versus South Lamar, Alabama. So 2 nice wins versus out-of-state foes there for Hendersonville. 6-4 was the score in favor of Dixon County over Summertown, and capping your baseball scoreboard yesterday, Washington, Oklahoma wins it 6-1 versus Gallatin.
Softball action yesterday. Mount Juliet with a 10-4 victory over Blackman. It was Wilson Central 9, Centennial 3, Eagleville with an 11-4 win over Summit. Smyrna blanked Ezel Harding 11-0. It was Lawson 13, Antioch 1. Siegel with an 11-2 victory over Milan of Indiana. Also Riverdale 12, Milan, Indiana 3. Siegel 7, Mount Juliet 4. Lincoln County with a 9-4 win over Spring Hill. And Creekwood doubled up Waverly 6-3. On the pitch, Harpeth with a 6-0 victory over Sycamore. In the CIT, I guess that's the College Invitational Tournament for men's basketball, Alabama A&M goes up to F&M Arena in Clarksville and knocks out the Governors of Austin P 81-71. Women's basketball action, the first 4 up at Virginia Tech, Vanderbilt advances with a 72-68 win over Columbia. That's Columbia University, not Columbia, Tennessee. And in the association, the Warriors, between extracurriculars, down the Memphis Grizzlies 137-116.
Draymond in the house. Be on high alert, folks. As
Never a dull moment, right?
never. To the baseball diamond we go again. These are games that will be played this evening, and they will begin at 4:30 as VGA will host University School of Nashville. Also at 4:30, we have listed Clarksville versus Columbia, and also Rossview versus CPA. Getting into schedule a little out of whack.
By the way,
here.
that Clarksville versus Columbia Central game at 4:30, that game is at Spring Hill, for what it's worth.
At Spring Hill. Thank you for that. At a game that I missed at 4 o'clock, Upperman is at Friendship Christian. And then we get into games that begin a little bit later. 5 p.m., I see John Overton at Davidson Academy. And then rolling right into 6 o'clock, Community is at Giles County. Fresh off a defeat versus Richland yesterday, the Vikings will come to Sam Davis Park this evening. Also at 6, Providence Christian is at Hume Fogg. White House and Joe Burns scheduled to get it on at 5 o'clock. Hillsboro and Lawson are set for a 7 p.m. showdown. Time unlisted, so check your local listings, as we like to say. Murfreesboro Central Magnet at Marshall County this evening. That should be a pretty good ball game. At 6 p.m. tonight, Harpeth is going to travel to MLK. Knights Academy is at taking on Mount Juliet at 6 p.m. At 6:30, Lawrence County is at Mount Pleasant. At 6 p.m., Siegel at Oakland. 7 p.m., Riverdale at Oxford, Alabama. 5 p.m., Santa Fe at Perry County. And for now, at least at 6:30, Franklin is at Ravenwood. There's another game, a bonus game, Mo. How about this? TBA is going to take on Rockvale today. So we'll,
goodness. So
we'll see
Rockvale's
who
playing
wins that game.
somebody. Show up and see who the Rockets get, huh?
Sew up and see who they get. I'll cap your baseball schedule for tonight here. Other games include Independence at Rossview, a game that has already gone final. Good Pasture defeated Sapulpa, Oklahoma 5-2. Station Camp will take on Science Hill at 5 p.m. Blackman's is at Smyrna at 6:30. Summertown is at Spring Hill at 7 o'clock tonight. Scheduled for 4 o'clock, you have Lipscomb Academy versus Stewart's Creek. And 2 games at 6 p.m., Gordonsville at Watertown, Culleoka at Wayne County. And at 6:30, you have Kirkwood at Todd County Central out of Kentucky.
Softball action today. 4 o'clock, Siegel faces Andrian of Indiana. At 6 o'clock, Siegel faces Baylor. At 8 o'clock, Mount Juliet takes on Castle of Indiana. 5 o'clock start for Clarksville Northeast at Clarksville Christian. At 5:30, Franklin is at Centennial. Also, Henry County is at Clarksville Northwest. At 6 o'clock, Mount Juliet faces Coffee County. At 6:30, Warren County travels to Columbia Central. Also, Smyrna is at Cookeville. 4:30 start for Middle Tennessee Christian at Ensworth. At 5, it's Nashville Christian at Ezel Harding. 8 o'clock game, Blackman takes on Floyd Central of Indiana. At 5, these start times are all over the place. At 5, Mount Pleasant is at Frank Hughes. At 5:30, Murfreesboro Central is at Franklin County. 6 o'clock, Marshall County is at Lawrence County. 6:30, Stewart's Creek is at Lebanon. Baylor and Green Hill play at 8. Santa Fe is at Lewis County at 5. Also at 5, Muscle Shoals of Alabama is at Loretto. 4:30 start for Lawson at Martin Luther King. At 4 o'clock, Floyd Central of Indiana plays Mount Juliet. At 4:30, Friendship Christian plays Mount Juliet Christian at Mount Juliet Christian. 5 o'clock starts for Summit at Nolensville. Independence at Ravenwood. Monterey at Watertown. 6 o'clock, Green Hill faces Oakland. And Laverne is at Wilson Central. At 8, it's Milan and Oakland.
To boys soccer we go. Bigsby, Oklahoma, going to travel to take on Meat Beach tonight at 6 p.m. Clarksville's at Cane Ridge in a game that kicks off at 5. At 6 o'clock tonight, Clarksville Academy is at Clarksville Northwest. Also in the 6 o'clock window, Arlington versus Columbia. McEwen is at Culleoka. Campbell County versus Giles County. I think that game is actually being played down in Gulf Shores in
That
Florida
could be.
somewhere,
That would
as
make a lot of
they
sense.
get ready to kick off for spring break there for Giles County. Other 6 o'clock games that I'm seeing here: Nashville Christian is at Kirkwood, and Fairhope, Alabama versus Station Camp. Smyrna at Stewart's Creek. DeKalb County versus Watertown. University School of Nashville is at Webb School. To the rest of the schedule we go. As I tried to do these in order, and swing and a miss. That's more of a baseball term, but bear with me, folks. Soccer games of note. Henry County at Dixon County. That game will kick off at 7. Upperman is at Franklin Road Academy at 5:30. And Smith County is at Friendship Christian at 5:30. At 7 o'clock tonight, Merrill Hyde is at Greenbrier. Baylor will take on Hendersonville at 5. Hume Fogg is at John Overton at 6:30. Springfield is at Kenwood at 7. White House Heritage at Laverne also at 7. A 4:30 kickoff between Ezel Harding and Middle Tennessee Christian. Oakland at Mount Juliet. Time to be determined, to make sure as you check your local listings there. 8 o'clock tonight, Southmore, Oklahoma versus Murfreesboro Central Magnet. Also at 8, Loganville, Georgia will take on Pope John Paul II. 5:30 tonight, Summit is at Spring Hill. I gave you the 6 o'clock games I mentioned there. But at 6:30, final soccer game, Agathos Classical is at Zion Christian. Women's college basketball, Belmont is at Ball State. That is in the WBIT. That game is set to begin at the top of this hour at 3 o'clock. Tomorrow at 12:30 in the Albany 2, round 1. I think we got that right, Mo. ESPN2 will broadcast MTSU versus Louisville. Should be a big game there. We also mentioned Tennessee and St. Peter's. That'll be Midwest Regional Round 1 action beginning at 8:20 this evening. And then also tonight, big one on the ice, 6:30 p.m. can be seen on ESPN Plus or Hulu. The Nashville Predators will travel to Florida to meet the Panthers. That is going to be a big-time showdown on the ice between two of the hottest teams in the NHL.
That should be a great one. A lot of great sports on television tonight between that and the NCAA tournament. And that is your rundown. Your top story brought to you, as always, by Piggly Wiggly over in Neely's Mill in Columbia. Be sure and check them out for their delicious daily deli lunch options, as well as their hand-cut meats, and everything is cost plus 10% at the cash register. So again, Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, Columbia, bringing you your top story. And today's top story, as it usually is on Thursdays, the Tennessee Sports Writers Association announced its Players of the Week for baseball and softball. On the baseball diamond, Carson Newman's Harrison Travis hit 5 home runs in the Eagles' weekend series against Emory and Henry, capping off a .615 batting average for the week and a .722 on-base percentage. Went 3 for 3 with 3 homers in the series opener. Finished up with 7 RBI on the week. Union's Noah Toney threw 102 pitches in a 1-0 complete game shutout victory against Shorter University. Scattered 3 hits, struck out 3. The Bulldogs won that series 2-1. In softball, Trevecca's Kendall Andrews hit .571 for the week, went 8 for 14 with 3 doubles, a triple, and a home run, 4 RBI, 3 stolen bases in 4 tries, as Trevecca went 3-1 on the weekend. Kendall Andrews is from Murfreesboro. So is Tennessee State's Caitlin Manis, who went 4-0 in OVC competition with a 1.40 ERA over 20 innings, won 2 games in complete game style, striking out 22, walking 3, struck out 10 in a 4-hit shutout against Morehead State, and then swept Lindenwood. A couple of victories in relief, I guess. So, yeah. Big week for a couple of Murfreesboro products. Kendall Andrews from Trevecca and Caitlin Manis from Tennessee State, our player and our pitcher of the week from the Tennessee Sports Writers Association. So congratulations to all of those performers for those fantastic weekly performances last week.
Some early candidates for Monstars, perhaps, heading into next week.
I might want to keep an eye on that. Absolutely. Hey, also, second top story real quick, and this is kind of a breaking news top story here. Brad Willis is out and about honoring folks as 2024 Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame inductees, and today it was announced that former Tennessee Titans running back Chris Johnson will be part of that 2024 induction class. Apparently they got him during the official Titans podcast with fellow TSHOFers Mike Keith and Keith Bullock. So congrats to CJ2K, the latest member of the 2024 induction class to the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame. He joins Olympic gold medal figure skater Scott Hamilton, Babe Howard, Millington business owner and philanthropist, East Tennessee State golf coaching legend Fred Warren, Nashville area tennis pro Thay Butchie, longtime Happy Valley High School basketball coach Charlie Bayless, Tennessee tennis star Paul Anacone, TSU Tiger Bell track legend Gene Patton Latimer, Memphis champion racquetball player and coach Larry Lyles, and Austin P basketball coaching legend and former athletics director Dave Luce. So those are the inductees for 2024 that we know of. There are more to come. So
yes, still to come. That's kind of just a little appetizer, right?
Absolutely. And again, we have had Brad Willis on the show on various occasions, and they like to ambush folks with that announcement, and he typically does a pretty good job with that. And I'm looking forward to seeing the video of CJ2K's announcement, among others. So we will be keeping up with that, and we will be keeping you abreast as we become aware of those other inductees. When is the ceremony? July 20th.
The 20th.
At the Omni Nashville downtown is when the induction ceremony will take place. Tickets are now available at the website, so check that out. Let's take a break. Let's catch our breath, and let's come back here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, with Coach's Corner with Independence boys basketball coach Mark Wilkins. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Throwback Thursday edition of Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, continues. Wade Neely, can we still hear you, Wade?
I think so.
Yes. Awesome.
The problem is I trusted Chris Yow's fancy technology. I'm not one to throw anybody under the bus, but when you put your faith in Chris Yow, more often than not, great things happen, but there is a small inherent risk, and it let me down today. But no, just kidding. We're back. We're rocking and rolling, and it wouldn't be March Madness without a little craziness on the show today.
A little madness, absolutely. We can hear Wade Neely. He can hear me, and we're going to hear from here on Coach's Corner, Independence boys basketball state championship coach Mark Wilkins. Mark, how does that sound?
Hey, it sounds great, Mo. Definitely. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you. We got you.
Me?
Sorry about that. We're a little gun shy here.
Good.
Had trouble in the first segment
good.
with Wade. But,
I got you.
Congrats.
Yes, sir. No, it feels great. Just so honored, blessed. Still getting used to the state champion before. Thankful that we could finish it off this year. Got a great group of kids that allowed us to have that opportunity, and lo and behold, we won our last game of the season. That's every coach's dream.
32-6 to finish up. 33-6, excuse me. Obviously, Mark, when you guys went to the state finals a year ago in 4A and getting back the roster that you were getting back for this year, this was a type thing that you had to feel like was a possibility, but at the same time, you got to go out there and do it over the long course of the season. What was the key for you all being able to do so?
Yeah, I think we all thought it was definitely a possibility, but we also had in the back of our minds was did we miss that opportunity the year before to finish it off? We just sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way, and we were fortunate 2 years ago for the ball to really, for things to go in our favor that could have gone the other way. And we played the last game of the season. And, if you had told me that at the beginning of the season, I'd have been tickled to death. But then you get there and you really want to win it. And so then, to fast forward to this past year, we knew it would take a whole lot. And we lost some really big pieces of the year before. So we're going to have some guys step up. And thankfully they did. And, man, made us look really smart again and got to play in that final game. And, I think the mindset was a little bit differently this time. We were not a lot of celebration going on for the state quarterfinal or state semifinal games. It was more of let's just try to keep getting the next one. And I was proud of our guys for having that mindset.
Mark, I'm always curious on the journey and kind of how the season unfolded at large, and obviously a successful run. But what can you speak to? Were there moments of doubt? And if so, what can you share on that? What kind of did you learn about your team in those moments of doubt, wherever it occurred during the season, that kind of maybe gave you a little extra fuel when you needed it most?
Yeah, we talked about it some here recently that in January we lost 3 out of 4 in our league play. And funny thing with that is we had a reporter ask, it wasn't Mo, it was somebody else, but just ask, is somebody hurt? Is somebody ineligible? What's going on? Just because I guess losing 3 out of 4 is unusual maybe for our team. And, and we just I responded back probably in maybe not the nicest tone. No, we just play in a great district. And there is a lot of truth to that, and just, but, we weren't playing our best basketball. And we had a group of seniors that didn't really want it to end that way, wanted to not just think we had a good junior year, let's just move on. And I was afraid of that a little bit. I was afraid that, we'd rely on the year before and just kind of say, well, at least we made it to the state final one of my year, as a senior. And so, but thankfully our guys didn't have that mindset and they came back to work. And
did we lose Mark?
I think we lost you just a touch, Coach, there, but we do know you might be muted, in fact, but we do know that you play in such a tough district, and Mo can kind of speak to it a little more. That night in, night out, it seems like a real slugfest, right?
Mark R., I wonder if we need to have Mark W. back out and bring him in via phone. This is a issue that we do sometimes run into when we're talking to folks at Williamson County Schools. So if you've got his phone number, you may want to call him up and just get him in by audio only. But yeah, as Mark was discussing that district, District 10-4A was also represented in the Final 8 by Brentwood. Brentwood, which finished tied for 5th during the regular season and went on a heater in the postseason and got to the state quarterfinals. So, we that speaks well for that district, and it wasn't a great shock. So, again, hitting a little bit of a skid there in the middle of the season. Not a great surprise just because of the parity in that district. You got some really good teams there, as he was saying, in addition to Independence and Brentwood, Franklin and Ravenwood, and Centennial as well. I mean, it's a really tough district, not to mention Summit, who picked off a couple of folks over the course of the year as well. So yeah, it was a situation where you really have to go out and be on your P's and Q's every night, and to be able to navigate that schedule just in district play and come out 33-6 at the tail end of the year. That's pretty solid showing there, and worthy of the gold ball. So
yeah, and that's what always intrigues me is it's unless you go undefeated, which hardly ever happens. There's always those moments that really kind of challenge you, and it's kind of, to me, it seems like, what do you learn from those moments that ultimately propel you to great things? And so that was kind of cool to get Coach on for that answer. We might have him back right now.
I think we've got him back. Mark, we got you back. Coach? Mm-mm. The side eye.
He's like, I can see you guys, but I can't hear you.
Yeah, but I can't hear you. Yeah, yeah. That's that's unfortunate. That's the beauty of technology right there. Um, Mark Wilkins efforting to join us. We will take one more shot at him, and while we're doing so, Wade, let's go ahead and well, no, let's wait because Mark R. Let's take one more shot and see if we can get Coach Wilkins via audio.
Real quick, while you mentioned that, Mo, we mentioned the 3 out of the 4 games there. You know, you fall to Franklin, you fall to Brentwood, you fall to Centennial, and then, like you said, they caught lightning in a bottle. They went on that heater and had a few close games, but by and large, it seemed like they started playing their best basketball right exactly when you want to at
When you
the end
want to.
of the season. They had a close call versus Ravenwood in the district semifinals, only winning that one by 4. But from then, got the huge win versus Brentwood in the district championship, defeated them again in the region championship, and then knocked off Beach in the sectional. And then you and I were there last week to see them take care of business in the Glass House. And it's kind of just a great story, too, in the sense it doesn't always play out this way, but when you get a team that makes it to the final the year before, you're thinking, okay, well, there's a shoe-in probably to make it back, but it's not a guarantee that you would make it back, Mo. So that's what makes it kind of really special that we were kind of talking about that story today.
Absolutely. Mark Wilkins, Independence boys basketball coach, joining us here on Coach's Corner. Mark, can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
There we go. Oh no, it happens.
Sometimes
man.
it just happens, as you know. But hopefully,
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of concrete in those schools, and it's tough sometimes. One thing I did want to ask you though, Mark. Everybody's aware of Jet Montgomery. He was a Mr. Basketball finalist for you this year. He's a Southern Miss signee. He's been a constant there. He leaves as Independence's all-time leading scorer, but you don't win a state championship at 4A with one guy, and that certainly was not the case with you guys. How did you feel like the rest of this team kind of embraced roles and rose to those over the course of the season?
Yeah, I think how I've described is I think we have very complementary players to make a really good team this past year. Where Jet maybe had some weaknesses, Tylen sure filled those roles, and vice versa for the two of them. And then, Corbin and Houston too, kind of as our interior guys. Corbin really loved the physicality, wanted to defend inside and finish around the rim. And Houston, was definitely our charge leader, shot block leader, but he liked to play on the perimeter on offense. And so, just allowing our guys to fit to those roles really, I think, made us click there late. And one of the things I was proud of our guys is that it's really boss. Who cares who gets credit as long as we all get credit as a team. And I think that really showed there at the end. Our team started playing our best basketball.
Mark, you came up here. This was your 3rd year. You were at South Gibson along with Scott Stidham, which is really a wild situation to see. I think 2 guys coming from the same school. Did we lose him?
Uh-oh.
I guess we lost him again. That's unfortunate. At this point, we should probably just move on. And I hate that we have to cut that interview short, but just in the interest of time and frustration, we're going to go ahead and move on. And hopefully we can maybe get Mark on with us another time to talk more about that. But at this point, we've got a little hardware to hand out. Our Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia Athlete of the Week, is Jet Montgomery, who averaged 25.7 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists, hit his last 24 consecutive free throws at last week's Class 4A state tournament, helping the Eagles to that championship that we were referring to. And our Custom Stone Handlers Into Win Life Team of the Week are those same Independence Eagles. Won 3 games at the state tournament last week, defeated Laverne 88-74, defeated Rossview 65-53, and then in the championship game defeated Cookville 53-44 for the 4A state championship. So again, congratulations to Jet Montgomery and to the Independence Eagles, our athlete of the week and our team of the week here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. He's back. Let's try it again. Let's see if we can wrap this thing up. Mark Wilk.
I'm in a new location, Mo.
Hey, we appreciate your diligence, man. You were just talking about guys accepting roles and playing within those roles. And, one guy that kind of served notice that he's going to be somebody to be reckoned with next year, looks like, is Dawson Miller.
Yep. No, Dawson played great for us. He was part of that. We lost 3 out of 4. We knew we were playing in a great district. We also knew there's probably some things we need to change stylistically. And Dawson gave us that ability to play a little bit more man-to-man. He's really, played a lot of basketball, super smart. He was playing great for our JV team all year long, and probably should have brought him up sooner. But, man, he got an opportunity in that district, that we were going through, and we never looked back, with him. And he made us look really smart, great shooter. And, he drew some tough assignments. Even in the championship game, he guarded one of the coach's sons, the Hurd, kid, and man, did a great job on him. I mean, that kid's a really, really good player. So, Dawson really stepped up for us. It was perfect kind of, you may not get very many shots this game, but we need you to play great defense and just be ready to shoot it when you're open. And man, he excelled in that role for sure.
What I was getting ready to try to ask you, Mark, before we were so rudely interrupted, your third year from South Gibson, has this been what you envisioned when you walked in the door?
Wow. I don't know if it's an envisioning, but I do think that it's a dream, and definitely a dream to be able to compete with a group of kids on the highest level, and I think it's been said a lot. You try to make the big time where you are. And so even though at South Gibson, we were definitely on a lower level and different scale, it felt like big time basketball. And, for here, there is no hiding it. This is big. This is fun, and so I guess if you had said the day Dr. Patton asked me if I wanted the job, if, here's what's going to happen these next 3 years, I probably would have, still had my jaw open and everything, just couldn't believe it. But, just so thankful that we had a group of kids that just bought in and believed, and, just trying to take it day by day. I know that's so cliche, but to get back to where we were this past year, it would have been impossible for us just to say, let's just talk about state championship every day. And it would have taken the fun out of it. So for our kids, just every single day for the last 3 years, just to keep working. What's the next thing? What's the next challenge? We've got to be better at summer camp. We've got to be better in November. We got to be better in December. And lo and behold, we were able to take one home. Man, it's been really special. So I don't know that it's ever what I, thought would happen, but I'm just very thankful it did happen the way it has.
Mark Wilkins, boys basketball coach at Independence, joining us here on Coach's Corner. Again, Mark, really appreciate you staying with it and trying to get this complete. Appreciate the opportunity to visit with you and look forward to doing so again soon.
Yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties, but I do appreciate what y'all do, and thank you for the coverage. You guys make this really special for our kids.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach.
We'll catch up with you soon, Coach.
Thank you, guys. All right.
All right. When we come back here on Main Street Sports Today, we'll be talking a little Major League Baseball because, again, we've had 2 games that really count, and they kind of look like they were at opposite ends of the spectrum. We'll get into that when we come back to the Lee Company studios here on Main Street Sports Today. Stay with us.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA. With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Throwback Thursday continues here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Maurice Patton, Wade Neely. In the next hour, we will be visiting with Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14, talking little basketball as we check in on the NCAAs. Always exciting. Wade, did you get up this morning?
I did, but not early enough to watch baseball, which is where I think you're going with that. And
it is where I'm going with that.
It sounds like if I had gotten up just a little bit earlier, I could have caught a lot of the game because it sounds like it was a lengthy game based on the box score from this morning.
15-11 final as the Padres even the Seoul series in the final matchup. Jake Cronenworth, and you probably saw the highlights, or in his case, the low light from Wednesday's game when a ball went through his glove to kind of key a Dodger rally late in that one. Well, he went 4 for 4 this morning, drove in 4 runs, scored a pair. So had a 2-run triple in the top of the first, kind of announcing your presence with authority right there. And Yoshinobu Yamamoto had a short day. 43 pitches, 5 runs on 4 hits in the opening inning. So, if you're a Dodger fan, probably not what you wanted to hear.
No, not a great start by any means. And Cronenworth, my Michigan Wolverine, coming up big in the early after a flub on Wednesday, coming up big early this morning. And, yeah, Yamamoto, by the way, for all the signings, that was one that, maybe kind of gotten lost a touch under the radar for Dodgers fans. And Holy moly. Yeah, that is not a great start. The good news
No.
is probably can't get much worse, I suppose.
You'd like to think that, particularly if you're a Dodgers fan. So it's Cronenworth is a Michigan man. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, former Wolverine back in the day.
Huh. Okay. Okay. Didn't know. Good stuff. Mookie Betts goes yard. The first major league home run of the year, I guess. Manny Machado answered in the ninth with one to make it to give you the final score of 15-11. But yeah, 33 combined hits this morning.
After the first game was
what, 5-2 final?
Yeah, very low scoring. It was 2-2 or 2-1 going to the eighth inning.
Yeah,
and
before
the
the
Dodgers got 4 runs, and holy smokes, yeah, just like you said, a tale of two different games. So if you came for defense, hopefully you came the first night, and if you came for offense, hopefully you came last night.
Yeah, they gave the South Korean fans a little bit of everything over the 2-game series. So yeah, like you said, I mean, offense sells tickets, so I guess they enjoyed that one today. So those guys will now get back stateside, and I guess they'll probably go back to Arizona for a few days before they actually get started.
Yeah, just get a little and you're exactly right, Mo. They will play the Dodgers at least going to play a couple games versus the Angels over the weekend, and then they open up next Thursday versus the Cardinals, 2 of your favorite all-time franchises there.
No doubt. The Dodgers and Shohei Ohtani will be without Ippei Mizuhara, Ohtani's interpreter, amid massive theft allegations. What in the world? Apparently, Ohtani's interpreter used the players' money to place bets with an allegedly illegal bookmaker under federal investigation.
So stealing money from Ohtani to cover his own debts, it looks like.
It's amazing. I just don't know what you're thinking when you do something like that. And you're talking about, they're talking about nearly $5 million. Sounds like. I mean, this isn't just pocket change. I mean, we're talking. Obviously, what's that? 7 figures. That's.
Yeah, big story, kind of dropping out of nowhere, really. And I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but Yahoo's got a great article kind of breaking down the whole timeline, which goes back to as far as 2013 when the two meet, and then it kind of comes to a head. But kind of a crazy situation as Ohtani's making his Dodgers debut. They got the win on Wednesday. And then kind of in the follow-up of all of that, all of a sudden, here we go. We're off to the races, and we got a full-blown kind of PR crisis on our hands at this moment.
Crisis is an understatement. Like you said, these guys go way back to Ohtani's days in Japan before he came stateside. And apparently he has been an employee of whatever team it is, be it the Nippon Ham Fighters or the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim or the Dodgers. And so apparently during the 22 lockout, when Mizuhara was unable to work with Ohtani because he was a club employee, he quit. So he could continue the relationship with Ohtani. So that's maybe so he could continue to get paid. I don't know, but that's really, really some odd stuff right there, and I feel quite certain that we've not heard the last of that either. So
no, and the memes last night on the internet, as the internet remains undefeated. Memes of Jordan and Ohtani, sizing each other up. Like, I knew I liked you. Anytime there's a betting involved, that kind of was a hot one last night. So kind of a crazy story. And, you know, MLB is always desperate for headlines, but this is not the headlines they're looking forward to.
No, they don't need this one at all. San Francisco, I've mentioned the phrase announcing your presence with authority in a couple of occasions in today's show, but they went out a couple of days ago, signed probably the best free agent pitcher still on the market, reigning National League Cy Young winner Blake Snell, to a 2-year, $62 million deal. And whatever the Dodgers think they're doing, San Francisco said, we're coming after you. So that's a big move behind signing Matt Chapman to play third base also over this offseason. NL West just got real interesting.
Yeah, like you said, if folks kind of just thought that teams in the rest of the teams in the West were just going to take the Dodgers super team formation lying down, they got another thing coming up, because the Giants at least are standing up and saying, hey, we're going to be a player in this thing. And talk about an instant, you know, that's always a fun rivalry, but now those games are going to be electric this year.
Well, and you know what other games are going to be electric are probably Giants Padres, because again, Snell was there last year. Yeah,
add that fuel to the fire. Kind of forget a little bit about the Padres other than Snell last year, since it was kind of a disappointing season. But yeah, right. that whole division, really, I mean, those three at least kind of forging the brunt of that are going to be very, very entertaining ball games, I think, really all season long, until, you know, one or two of them potentially gain real big distance on the others.
Well, and then we tend to forget the National League pennant winner is the Arizona Diamondbacks. So, you know, they might have a say in this thing as well. Everybody but Colorado probably feels like they can have an impact on the NL West this time around. So,
yeah, if you're Colorado, you're kind of just like, well, what are we supposed to do?
What are we supposed to do? Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly the phrase that I was sitting here thinking. You know, we're looking up at everybody, literally.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough sledding for the Rockies, but those other four, it's going to be a battle every night out. So we'll as a Braves fan, we'll just kind of watch from a distance and hopefully beat each other up. No. So let's go ahead and take a break here as we approach the top of the hour on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. When we come back, let's check in with Southeastern 14's Blake Lovell, talk a little SEC hoops, a little NCAA hoops, and maybe get a little bit of an update on where we are in today's tournament action. So stay with us here in the Lee Company studios. We will be back after this break.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
We thrive under the lights. The city of performers. Putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
The second hour of Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton along with Wade Neely. And as promised, Southeastern 14's Blake Lovell joining us here. Talk a little hoops. NCAA tournament is well underway. Creighton Downs Akron had to count a battle to get there, but 77-60 the final. 11 seed Duquesne knocks off BYU, busts some brackets right out of the gate, 71-67 that final. Morehead State giving Illinois some problems, 27-23 with 7 minutes left in the first half in that one. North Carolina up on Wagner, 45-32, and Arizona getting ready to handle Long Beach and send Dan Monson off into the sunset, 82-60 with just under 4 to play there. But the game that I'm sure had Blake's most attention was Michigan State 69, Mississippi State 51. Blake, welcome in, first of all, and how expected or unexpected was that?
Yeah, I started when I first saw the matchup. I didn't hate it for Mississippi State, but I think the more you looked into it, there were a lot of things going against them. I think in this one, I always look at like some of the historical trends and like the betting stats and all this other stuff. And like when you looked at like teams that could make a Cinderella run, I think VEASAN had this in their kind of notes for the entire tournament. Michigan State checks every single box for a team that can make like a Cinderella type run, and I think they're going to have a great chance to beat North Carolina in the second round based off of that. But I also pointed out the stat that Mississippi State won 10 SEC games this year, 2 included into the tournament, of course, so 8 regular season, 2 in the tournament. They only won 1 of those games having to come back from 6 points down or more. So, like, they just were not a team that could play from behind this year because they're not a great shooting team. Josh Hubbard can shoot. No one else really can. And so that was a problem. When they started to get themselves in a little bit of a hole in this game, I think you knew that it was going to be trouble because they needed to be 2 for 2s and not 3s for 2s in that kind of scenario, which they put themselves in and couldn't get out of it. So,
yeah, Michigan State knocked down some threes early on. And in fact, I saw him at one point running the break and pulled up at the arc and let one fly. And, of course, knocked it down. I mean, when you are passing up straight line drives to knock down threes, that's, one, you're feeling it. And 2, from a defensive standpoint, you're like, this might not be our day.
Yeah, and and that's one of the few things Michigan State, I mean, offensively they're good, but that's been one of their strengths is knocking down shots. They don't necessarily take a lot of threes, but it's like today they got them when they needed them. And again, it's kind of the opposite from Mississippi State, where it was like them having to shoot their way back into a game was just never going to be a recipe for success.
So they fall by the wayside. Blake, as we kind of glance through the other matchups here for the SEC tournament, I guess let's kind of just start with one of the teams, in a sense, we got to see a little bit of last night. Did Colorado show you anything last night that gives you reason to believe that they are going to be a scrappy out for Florida here coming up in the first round of the tournament?
Yeah, I think it'll be a good game because I think you've got a team that's pretty well balanced. I mean, I think that's kind of what's been we talked about Colorado, and they played really well too over the past month. I think those are teams that always make you nervous. I mean, they've played some really good basketball for the past month or so. They've only lost one game since February 15th. And so I think that's something that definitely takes notice. And I think it's kind of for Florida, it's a team that can score in a lot of different ways. And I mean, again, Florida's kind of been lumped in with Kentucky and Alabama this year when it comes to defense. A team that sometimes just isn't going to be able to put their opponent's way because they can't get enough stops. And that would worry me a little bit if I'm a Florida fan in this particular matchup. I like the way the bracket kind of unfolded for Florida in this part of the thing, but I would have liked Boise State a lot better than in Colorado here because I think they're a team that can defend the three pretty well. They can score in a lot of different ways. And so that's a little bit concerning probably heading into this one. But, look, I think if Florida were to get past this game, I mean, Marquette, I like the Marquette team. But I think we always say guard play wins in this kind of tournament setting, and Florida's still got one of the best guard groups out there, I think, with the guys that they put on the floor. So it's going to be interesting, but I think this is a pretty strong part of the bracket with Florida, Colorado, Marquette, and who knows, Western Kentucky left. So
Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 joining us here on Main Street Sports today as we talk some NCAA and some SEC hoops. And, Blake, you were talking about Michigan State with that win over Mississippi State and how maybe the bracket might be opening up a little bit for them. And you used the term Cinderella, and I know that they are the number 9 seed, but I'm having trouble reconciling Michigan State and Cinderella.
It doesn't seem to quantify that they would only be Cinderella in terms of the seeding. That would be the way it works with them. And again, yeah, it is, but it is kind of one. I think the stat I was looking at was like teams that are what it was like 8 seed or lower over the past. I don't know if it's 20 NCAA tournaments, something like that. And there's like 12 statistical categories or something that you have to check off, and you rank the teams based off of that. And I mean, Michigan State checked all 12, and like it's one where they were like, wait a minute, it's a Cinderella qualifier, Michigan State. But sure enough, here they are. And so, yeah, I think that entire West bracket, guys, I think that's the one that, maybe some people just think Carolina's going to come out of it and cruise right to the end of this thing. Some people think Arizona might do it, but I think there's room for chaos, especially when you consider some of these first-round matchups, in that part of the bracket and potential upset victims and all that. So.
When you say chaos, you are screaming out for Chris Yao. I'm almost expecting him to pop in here any second now. But talking about the West, he mentioned right out of the box on Monday, and we talked about it with Joe Sullivan on Wednesday as well of NashvilleHoops.blog. New Mexico sitting there at 11, and if there is chaos in this bracket, they are kind of expected to be the carriers thereof, I guess.
Yeah, and it's hard because let's call it what it is. The Mountain West has not had a lot of success in this tournament. And I think it's one where, fade the Mountain West is kind of one of those trending hashtags that seemingly happens every year with bettors and such. It's like you can play the numbers and be pretty good if you just go against the Mountain West teams because, again, it doesn't always work out, even despite some good matchups, even though you got a team like New Mexico who could get hot. But again, I mean, they're playing really well right now. And I think, this is not – I think Scott Drew is a great coach. I thought he always got kind of the short end of the stick in terms of just the job that he did there to rebuild things. But I don't think this is necessarily a team I see getting to the Final Four as a number 3 seed in Baylor. And then, of course, you've got another team, I think, in the Mountain West that can cause issues, and that's Nevada, which I know Dayton's pretty good, but when you look at the way Nevada's played recently, they're another team that I think I would circle from that Mountain West tier. And again, Arizona's going to take care of business against Long Beach State here. But yeah, I mean, New Mexico's a team you're circling. I think all these 11 seeds, right? Duquesne's already got a win. New Mexico, Oregon, I think's got a great matchup against South Carolina. I think NC State's got a good matchup against Texas Tech. I don't think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be stunned if all the 11 seeds advanced.
There we go.
Hey, Blake, you mentioned the Midwest, and so I got to dive in. You mentioned the Oregon-South Carolina matchup. That's one that I think is going to be a really entertaining game. And I guess the other question, how concerned or how much PTSD, I guess, number one, do Kentucky fans get when you find out that St. Peter's is a 15 seed and taking on a team from the SEC? And then how much of that PTSD from Kentucky should trickle over into a little bit of fear for Tennessee fans? Is that any are the Peacocks primed for another run this year potentially, or no?
Well, so immediately I knew that would happen. I knew Tennessee fans would just quickly, try to take this in the wrong direction. And again, upsets happen. Anything can happen. But if you compare the two teams, if you look at the St. Peter's team that did what it did a couple years ago, there are some significant differences. That team was much more experienced. That team was in a top 25 level type defensive team. This team's in the top 100, but they're more around the 75 range. That team was also significantly better offensively. That team played in a better conference that year. I think that conference is a little bit lower in terms of the conference ranks this year. And that team also had a top 150 type win that year. The best victory for this St. Peter's team, 209th in Marist. So I just think there are some clear differences. Obviously, a different coach too. But when you look at this matchup, I mean, I broke down the different SEC matchups for all the teams. This was the only one I could say that I just 100% loved in any scenario. The rest of them, obviously, 4-13s, those kind of matchups. Kentucky's matchup, I don't completely love against Oakland, even though some people seem to. But this is one where you're a 2 seed for a reason. St. Peter's a 15 seed for a reason. Again, it's happened before, but I just don't think this kind of St. Peter's team has the same sort of whatever it is that one had. I just think they're two completely different teams.
And we mentioned South Carolina, Oregon. Oregon, obviously a great team, but South Carolina, as we've been discussed with you on this program, they finished, number one in the luck category on KenPom. Is that something that is you view as more of a positive going into the postseason, into a one and done format, or is this a situation where maybe unfortunately South Carolina's luck runs out, maybe even as early as the first round?
Yeah, when I saw this matchup, I didn't like it for South Carolina from the start. I just thought this was a situation where they're playing a red-hot team that played their way into the tournament, and they're playing what has been a problem for South Carolina, Tennessee, a couple other SEC teams, and that's a team that just has a dominant big man. And I think South Carolina has struggled with that this year. Look at their results against Auburn, right? Just got completely blown out both times against the dominant big man in Janiah Broome. So, Dante is tremendous, and I think that, South Carolina doesn't want to put themselves kind of in that Mississippi State category either. South Carolina's a better shooting team, but I just think they've got to play a certain style to where they're not having to play from behind, because I think that could be worrisome. They're not a great shooting team. They're not as bad as Mississippi State, but, they've got to kind of force this to be their type of game with the physicality, all this other stuff. I mean, Oregon is a team that does want to get up and down a little bit, not to the level of the high tempo teams we're used to in the SEC, but South Carolina's got to make this a grind, because if they don't, I just think offensively they don't want to be playing catch up, because if that happens, I think they're going to be in trouble.
That said, Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14, besides Mississippi State, who's gone, which Southeastern Conference team are you most concerned about in the first round?
I mean, yeah, aside from South Carolina, I think the next choice would probably be Alabama, just because of the defensive issues. Even though that's a matchup I've studied and tend to like it a bit more than I did from the start for Alabama, because I think when you look at the teams Alabama has lost to this year, they've all been like top 15, top 20-ish type offensive teams. I mean, it's remarkable how many teams they've lost to that rank in like the top 20 offensively, top 25 category. Charleston's not that far away. I mean, they're top 60, but you're playing against completely different competition. I think they've only played 1 or 2 quad 1 games this season, period, for Charleston. It's a good offensive team that I think will score some points on Alabama, but I think Alabama will also score a lot of points on Charleston. And so I think that would be the only thing, is if Alabama just doesn't defend, anything can happen in those kind of scenarios. And I will go back to the one I just said. Maybe I am proven wrong tonight. I didn't pick Oakland to win in my bracket, but I think if you put Oakland against Illinois, if you put Oakland against even Baylor perhaps, there would be a lot more people, I think, looking at this and saying, there's something to this Oakland team, because they are very experienced. They got 3 guys who have been there 4+ years. Think about that in this era, to have 3 guys who have been there that long in the program. They got the Horizon League Player of the Year in Trey Townsend. They've got a guy who has shot 327 3-pointers this season, only 8 2-pointers. Again, that's my kind of player right there. Just chuck it from 3 every single time. Don't worry about the 2 points. Go for the 3. But he can shoot it. He can light it up. And so you've got experience. You got an experienced coach in Greg Campy who's been there forever. This team won the Horizon League for the first time since moving from the Summit. If Kentucky doesn't defend, they might be in trouble, because they're going to have to shoot it really well, I think, to win a game like this. Luckily, Oakland plays a matchup zone, which may be a problem. But that's just one I would keep an eye on. Not concerned, but I wouldn't be shocked if Kentucky decides not to play defense, which they've been known to do, if this thing's a little closer than people think.
Charleston has been a popular double-digit pick, from what I understand, in this bracket. And again, with Alabama's defensive issues. And Wade kind of talked about PTSD as it relates to Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky fans are just, you have just dissolved them into mush with the breakdown that you just gave there. So, yeah. Other than the fact that they're Kentucky, what do the Wildcats have to hang their hats on in this one?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right, is the key for Kentucky has been, and here's why I say that. It's, look, we talked about talent and all this other stuff, and that seems to be the response I've gotten when I've tried to point some of these things out with Oakland as well. Kentucky is just the most talented. Great. There have been a lot of talented teams over the years that have lost, including Kentucky in the first round.
Including Kentucky.
You can't just have talent. And here's the one thing I would point out, if this game gets interesting tonight, and I always say, like, covering the SEC, anytime we do this, we always try to essentially overestimate the opponents more so than underestimate, because we've seen way too many SEC teams now just completely flop in the first round. So I'm like, I'd rather tell you how good a certain team is that they're playing and really hype them up to where, all right, everything's going to be fine if they win. But Kentucky has given up 95, 89, 102, 77, 81, 97 in their last 6 games. I mean, don't get me wrong, they've scored a lot, but they've given up a lot of points. And so if they were to come out and get a cold shooting, we know what's going to happen, guys. If Kentucky comes out, doesn't shoot well, and let's say Oakland's just hanging around, what's going to happen in that building? You're going to have people who are just going to start to they're going to start to turn, and you're going to have other fan bases who are going to start to turn. And Oakland's going to become the favorite. They're going to become the home team. Like, it's unlikely, but I'm just saying keep an eye on it.
Also in the South, and we've not really mentioned this matchup, but Texas A&M was one of the last teams out of last year's NCAA tournament. They get in this time around. Is this Buzz's first time since he got there?
Well, Buzz got there last year, if you remember, and guess what happened? I mean, it felt like they weren't in, but guess what happened?
Okay.
They just got bombarded by Penn State, who hit about 83s last year, and just a game that never even was close from the tip. Okay. And so this matchup, luckily for Texas A&M, Nebraska's can shoot the 3, but I'm telling you guys, here's another thing I would not be surprised by. If A&M out-rebounds Nebraska by 25 or more, don't be shocked, because you got 2 teams who just are on the complete opposite end when it comes to rebounding. A&M just, as we know, I mean, they just obliterate the boards. They get every rebound that's out there. Sometimes it's because they're shooting it off the backboard, and they got to get the rebound somewhere because they can't shoot either. And so Nebraska, though, is the kind of matchup I think actually that works well for Buzz here from a game planning standpoint. But again, they're kind of like Mississippi State in the same where it's like if Nebraska gets up early, they're knocking down threes, get up 10. Do I trust A&M to come from behind? Nope, because they'd have to shoot their way back into it, and they're one of the worst shooting teams in the country. So that's why you're an 8-9 game, right? There's things to worry about, and there's definitely things to worry about for Texas A&M. So,
Blake, as we get ready to wind down here, where does Auburn fit into all of this? Kind of just lurking right there in a stacked East, obviously, but lurking there at the number 4 seed.
Yeah, look, I took a chance in my bracket on taking Auburn to the Final Four, and the reason why is because if we play the numbers and say UConn's not going to repeat, Auburn to me is the toughest team they'll face to get there. I truly think that, because if you look at all the numbers too, Auburn is not your traditional 4 seed. Of course, everybody talked about how it felt like Auburn got hosed in the seeding, and they did, but at the same time, UConn got hosed because they got put in a region where just the top 4 seeds are just outstanding. Disregard what's happening right now with Illinois, but if you just seed them, that's kind of the way it works. So I think, I said this before, even with Tennessee included, I think Auburn is the team that matches up the best with UConn. If you had to put an SEC team in UConn's path, Auburn is the one that I think it would have the best chance to beat them. And so if they get to that point, if that's the matchup, which I think the first couple rounds set up nicely for Auburn, although, again, I would not overlook Yale. That's a very disciplined team that will shoot it and all that. But if they get to that point, I think Auburn's got a great chance. But it's going to be tough because in any other region, if you'd have told me Auburn was the 4, I'd have feel really good about taking Auburn probably to the Final Four. In this one, though, their toughest matchup is going to come in the Sweet 16 in a game that probably shouldn't be played until at least the Elite 8. And that's just the luck of the draw. So,
Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 joining us here on Main Street Sports today. Blake, before we let you go, need to ask you, what are you hearing out of West End?
It's almost like, what are you not hearing out of West End at this point? What names are you not hearing, basically? I mean, you guys, I'm sure, have heard the Chris Mack thing. That one's still kind of being bantered about. I think the mid-major coaches that are still coaching are going to be ones that people talk about, whether it is a Pat Kelsey, whether it's a Bucky McMillan, guys like that who could pull off upsets in this first round, be in the conversation. Amir Abdur-Rahim at South Florida got some momentum yesterday from some things, but you never know. I mean, and I hate to say that, but it's Vanderbilt, and you never know. You never know what they're doing. You never know what they're up to. So I can't say with any concrete information that they've interviewed person A, person B, whatever. But I do think right now, Chris Mack would seemingly be one of the best options on the board for them if you're looking for a proven guy. There's another guy out there that I just will not mention because I know Vanderbilt would never touch him, but he's also having a chance to win a lot of games in his career at a certain school who will be playing Gonzaga. But that's all I'm saying. They'll never do it, but listen, at some point Vanderbilt maybe just wants to win some games. So I don't know what's going to happen, guys.
and damn everything else, right? Just go win some games.
At some point, Vanderbilt, just go win games. Let's get happy. If you decide to give up the games later, whatever, the fans will still remember it. It'll be fine, right?
Yep.
So who cares? Let's go get a winner.
He is a local product.
Grew up watching Vanderbilt, so that's all I'm saying.
He who shall be unnamed. Blake Lovell, Southeastern 14. You can find him on Twitter at the Blake Lovell. Man, we appreciate you, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
All
Blake.
right. When we come back here on Main Street Sports today, it is Throwback Thursday, and we will be re-airing one of our favorite interviews here of late. So come back after the break, and we will talk a little bit more about that. See you in a second. Whether you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, when it comes to your performance, don't settle for anything less than excellence. We're proud to announce that Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic is now Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia, where we are redefining sports medicine and orthopedics. Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance's team of expert sports medicine physicians understands the unique demands of your body. TOA Columbia specializes in personalized orthopedic care, offering state-of-the-art treatments for everything from sports injuries to joint replacements. Learn more at toacolumbia.com.
Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Welcome to Protein Snack Shop, your destination for healthy and delicious low-carb snacks. Our specialty lies in providing protein-packed desserts that are perfect for those following a keto diet. Our products are made with high-quality ingredients, ensuring that you can satisfy your cravings without compromising your health goals. From a variety of flavors and options to choose from, you can enjoy guilt-free snacking while staying on track with your fitness journey. Don't miss out on our limited time offer. Discover Protein Snack Shop today.
We thrive under the lights. A city of performers, putting on one heck of a show. Headlining night after night. Welcome to Smashville.
Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Wade Neely, Maurice Patton, and we were fortunate enough, I guess it was about this time last week, huh, Wade?
Yep, right around this time.
To be able to sit down with Middle Tennessee State football coach Derek Mason. I love the sound of that.
It just rolls right off the tongue.
It really does, yeah. And to kind of get his thoughts, I make a mention of 90 days into his tenure in that position. Actually, it was day number 99 because there was a post the next day about his 100th day and what had been going on and that kind of thing. So we caught up with Derek Mason on day 99 of his Blue Raider tenure. See what he's got to say.
Oh, yeah. Last weekend in November.
Yeah, that's as we bring in Coach Mason. Coach, we're just running down the schedule here. It's an awfully tough trip you have to make on November 30th. You got to go to Miami, Florida. In November. That's a murderer's row as far as weather goes, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. You know what? I'm so upset. But that's where we have to go.
You just look distraught.
You know what? I'm dazed and confused right now. I'm struggling. No, anytime you get to destination spots, it almost feels like bowl games to some folks because the weather in that area is generally pretty good that time of year. But
it's generally pretty bad here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like having lived in Tennessee for the greater part of 10 years, I can tell you that time of year can get a little rough. But here's what I will say. It's a business trip for us. Look, we know and understand that we've got a season ahead of us, man, that's going to test every part of who we are. And like right now, we're just putting together the elements and the foundation of a football team that we believe, is going to be competitive, okay, and find a way to hopefully make some noise in Conference USA in 2024.
Coach, you've been on the job for a little over 3 months now. You were named on December 6th.
Right.
Relative to what you expected, what have these first 90 days been like?
You know what? I'm close to coming up on 100. And as I talked about it with our creative team, it spoke to the idea of like work, developing trust, relationships, identifying issues and problems and making sure that we can address those issues, whether it's recovery, nutrition, schemes, a talent gap. You know, how do we close like these things? These things aren't an overnight process. And I think that's what's been important for me as I'm fortunate enough to get an opportunity to do it again. I'm seeing it through a different lens. Before, everything was so rushed. And it was about, okay, man, I got to do this because so-and-so is doing it. Now I'm not worried about what so-and-so is doing. I'm looking at our players, our coaches. Are we incrementally, maxing out the opportunity to get better every day? And if we're doing that, okay, well then we're gaining ground that will pay dividends when the time comes for us to line up and play football.
You kind of, in a roundabout way, mentioned something. How do you feel like, and obviously you've not coached a game yet, you've not even coached a spring practice yet.
Right.
But right now, how do you feel like you've gotten better from your first head coaching gig to your second head coaching gig?
Well, I know who I am. I think you think you know who you are, and then you're working within the constraints of the situation that you find yourself in. And then what you have to do is give and bend and sort of, adjust and adapt to what's needed, but also what people are needing you to be. Right now, I'm not worried about what people need me to be. I'm worried about what my program needs me to be. Okay, so it's more of a build it from the inside out. Okay, man, and make sure, man, that you invest in the outward pieces so they get a chance to understand, okay, what that real self looks like. And so, like, for me, it's been good, I've always been able to connect with players. That's not a problem. But Middle Tennessee is my community. I love this community, and I think, in the process, it'll love me back. And that process is about investment. I told our guys, people want to go see people that they know. There's got to be some connection. If there's no connection, they're not coming to watch you play. So like, what are you doing to connect with the students, the community, like the people, man, that have grown up in this place? And if you're not from here, you haven't gotten to know this place. Well, then, like, these people have no idea who you are. And so, like, the idea is this: let's be blue collar and very organic about the work that we do, the place that we sit in. Let's reflect this community, and let's make sure that we give this community, man, our best selves. Because what you do in the weight room should reflect the same thing that you do out in the community. The same thing that you do in the classroom, should really reflect on your brand and who you are, as a Blue Raider. So all these things aren't mutually exclusive. They're all connected. And so the connectivity is something that our guys are starting to get. It's something that I believe in. But, when I've sat down to talk to, Coach Enzo, when I've talked to Jimmy, when I've talked to Teo, in tennis, like, these people are real. The connection is real. I can learn a lot from Jimmy and Coach Enzo. Jimmy just opened up his new facility. And, like, he did it when nobody ever thought he could build a tennis facility. Got it done. Coach Enzo has built something incredible, right? And like, he's football's biggest fan. Like, when I see him, I go to his coach's show, man, and I'm just as fired up, like, to sit there and listen to him talk, because I've sat up here in the stands and watched, like, his practices and what they look like, and it's surgical. I mean, he coaches as good as anybody in the game, and I'm sitting here right here in Middle Tennessee getting clinicked, okay? And that's pretty cool. So I think, like, this community, like, for me, it feels good. It feels like a good pair of jeans and boots. man, they fit. And I'm glad to be in a place, man, where good people are willing to share their ideas and opportunities for success.
Derek Mason, newly named as of December, football coach here at Middle Tennessee State, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Coach, you got spring practice coming up.
Right.
You start a week from Saturday, is that right? The 23rd?
A week from today.
A week from today.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Next
right.
Wednesday.
All
and then
right.
we have an NIL practice a week from Saturday. It's
Okay.
Raiders Rising, which is our MTSU athletics collective. We're going to be the kickoff for that collective, and excited to have an NIL practice, which will be pretty cool. We get an opportunity to invite our fans, as well as donors, as well as other folks to come out, contribute to the collective, the whole collective. But the idea is this: come see who we are. You know, yeah. I wanted to get out with our staff and just get out and just be part of this community. So we started this thing called the Blue Collar Project, which has been outstanding. But I think with that's about community, right? And so we just want our community to come out, see us, see what we're doing. Let them get a taste of what we're talking about with NIL, because I think NIL looks different for us here than it does at other places. It's not about making sure that we can just resource athletes. It's about making sure, man, that we can, because for me and my program specifically, I want to be able to make sure that I can invest in my juniors and seniors as I'm getting my freshmen and sophomores to contribute, because I'm a developmental program.
Right.
So, man, if I'm gonna look to talk about NIL and give NIL, okay, I want to invest NIL in players, man, who have been here, who've walked it, okay, man, who've paid their dues, and now on the back end, as we're getting to the best parts of what they can do, now, man, we're starting to reap that investment.
Yeah.
You know, so again, everybody's got a different idea in NIL. I don't want to lose players, and I think you do that through two ways. You create, connection and relationships, and then the other idea is that when the time comes, okay, what does the investment really look like? Because you can only say so much. It's really now what starts to hit like their pocket in some ways, and they're not trying to be transactional. They just know that it exists out there, and so we have to know that they have a fair market value. So let's address the fair market value, and let's show them that we can.
Spring practice concludes with your spring game on April 13th.
Yes, sir.
And there was an announcement a couple of weeks ago. You're doing something a little unique.
Right.
And I kind of like it. You have named captains. You're actually going to play a straight-up game.
Yes.
And honorary coaches will be a couple of former Blue Raiders. I was on campus with one of them, Robert Frazier. I don't remember who the other one is off the top of my head.
Well, we're going to put it out. We've been trying to hold on to it, but it's going to be put out here like in the next couple of days. Man, we got a lot going on with, in our basketball teams and other sports. Man, we're trying to find the space where it makes sense, because we're also going to talk about what that week's going to look like. We're going to have a draft. Okay, so we're gonna get into a room the Sunday before spring game, and there's gonna be a true draft. I'm gonna be the commissioner, so I get a chance. I get a chance to swing the gavel a little bit, but it's something that's fun for our kids. It's something that's fun for alumni, and hopefully it's something fun for our fans and our donors, because we still have some things being tied up around that NIL event that are gonna really affect how their spring game looks too. So we're just trying to get creative in spaces where I think we can be creative, but create connection with community and have some fun.
Absolutely. And Coach, you've obviously only been on the gig for a little bit, but we've really been impressed with how aggressive you've been on the recruiting trail. But I got to ask you, we're sitting here in Murphy Center, but just right behind us, there's a lot of construction going on. How much of your recruiting pitch right now is, hey, look at the sweet new facilities. MTSU football is kind of moving out of the dark ages and kind of into a true new era right here.
Yeah, man, extremely excited. I've been asked, what do you feel about the construction and, everything that's going up, and, is it negative? No, man, it's the price of progress. that's exactly what you want to see. It means that this place is going to places that it's never been to hopefully do things it's never done. So, I mean, if that's truly, where we believe we sit and where we're going, between Dr. McPhee, Chris Massaro, Lee DeLeon, our athletic programs, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more coming on the backside of this, but like you have to crawl before you can walk and walk before you can run. And that's where we sit right now with some steel coming out of the ground. It's visual.
Coach, before you got here, Wade and I were kind of talking about what is a reasonable expectation for Middle Tennessee State football in year one under Derek Mason.
Well,
what would you tell people that is?
Well, we want to be physical. We want to be tough, and we want to play intelligent football. Okay, but what does that mean? Like people want to know numbers. Well, I'll tell you more about our football team after 15 practices. Are we physical? Because if you can't control the line of scrimmage up front, you got no chance. It's a line of scrimmage game. So, it starts with our bigs. Everybody wants to say it starts with the quarterback. It doesn't. It starts with, can we run the football effectively when we want to, okay, as well as like when we have to, right? Can we stop the run? Can we get a pass rush on third down and get off the field? Having Luke Pascal back here and the idea of how are we going to play special teams? I didn't go out and get a special teams coach that I thought would make us good. I tried to go out and get the best, okay, one of the best minds, okay, in college football. He just happened to be at the Group of 5 level. He just happened to be an MTSU alum. He just happened to be trying to get back here for the last 17 years. And
that worked out well.
Yeah, it did. And like to me, like what he talks about the standard, and the standard being the best. That's the goal. The goal is to be the best. So we want to be physical, okay, man, and that's offense, defense, special teams. But the toughness piece, I think this much toughness. You can be a tough team, but I think offense sort of dictates defense nowadays a little bit in terms of like what do you value? Everybody wants to score points, but it's not just scoring points. It's how you score points. Like can you snatch somebody's soul? Like as you're scoring points. Because if you can snatch, okay, you can score points, but so can they. If you can snatch somebody's soul, if you can challenge their toughness, okay, man, and sort of just pull their soul right out of their body, that's a game changer. And so we're gonna see how tough this group is, because we're gonna push them to places they've never been. And if you ask them now, they'll say, yeah, we doing some things, man, that are like different. And it's challenging because, like, look, when you get in the heat of it, I don't want them to know what you are when we get in the heat of it. I want the heat to be turned up like now, and then ratchet it up in the summer, and then do it again as we get to fall camp. So when we get to the season, you know what you're capable of, and so do I. So we don't look at each other with disbelief. We look at each other with confidence.
Right.
And I think the intelligence piece comes down to the simple fact that let's not beat ourselves. Look, I mean, from the penalties to turning the ball over, okay, or understanding how to be good in situational football. These things matter, like today. And as I looked, like this football team has beat itself as much as teams have beat it. So there's room for growth in all these areas: the physical, the tough, the intelligent piece, and that's where we got to make our hay. Everybody's got scheme, and everybody gonna play football. But here's what I know: big men beat down little men. Tough guys, okay, man, find a way to get across the finish line, and they're not making excuses for why they did. Okay, and the full reality of it is, we all these things can be talked about, but they really have to be shown, and that's what we're working towards. You can talk about it, but you got to be about it at some point, and that's what spring is about. It's really the second opportunity, because the first opportunity started with winter conditioning. Spring ball becomes the time where we put them on the X's and O's, and everybody thinks it's going to be about scheme. It's not. It's going to be, can this man whip this man? Because if you can, we need to go with that dog. Okay, that dog right there may be a good backup, but that dog is the one that you got to go with, and we got to get that backup to be as good as this one. So I'm telling you, I don't know. To answer your question, we talk about expectations. Look, let's not lose games. We should win.
It's a hell of a place to start. It really is. Yep.
Seems fair to me.
It does. It does. Derek Mason, first-year Middle Tennessee State football coach, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. Coach, really appreciate your time. I know you're running wide open right now, and thank you for checking in with us, and hope to catch up with you again soon.
Thank you too. This is one of my favorite spots. Okay, hanging out with two of the best in the business. I definitely appreciate your time. And listen, Blue Raider Nation, let's stand up. Let's have some fun. We're looking forward to a great 2024, but there's some work to do. See you then.
Let's get it done.
Let's get it done.
Thanks, Coach.
I'm Maurice Patton, and on Main Street Sports Today, we bring you the voices of your favorite teams from preps to pros.
Otherwise known as the VOT, Mike Keith.
The bottom line is we can teach Will Levis woke.
I just don't know who's going to work with you on your base stealing now that Eli's gone.
Well, that has nowhere to go but up. And I was just like, oh, guys, not again. Can we just bury that, burn that footage, and not bring it back?
No. No.
Thank you. We'll keep it going past the All-Star break, and looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. There's always a good story to tell.
Can you guess where I am today, Mo? Where am I?
It's not Reese Smith Field, is it?
Yeah.
Because anytime you play Chicago, you want to win. That's just
you got that right, and
that's bottom
a
line.
buzz. When you're walking the dog, you keep the bags that you need for the dog in the bag, and you don't even have to wear it. You can just hold it, which is what I do when I walk the dog. So
I think the fanny pack probably needed a little rebranding.
It did. It really did.
On your show logo, we've got to get a puck in there. There's a basketball. There's a football. There's a baseball. Maybe it's not a puck. How about Mo brandishes a hockey stick?
Tune in daily at 2 p.m. on Main Street Media TV.
Flip it. There we go. Throwback Thursday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. I'm Maurice Patton on the left. That's Wade Neely on the right. And again, really enjoyed that segment that you just heard with MTSU football coach Derek Mason. They are in the midst of spring practice now with the split squad game coming up in the middle of next month. Looking forward to that. And obviously the progress that they will be making heading into this upcoming season. So pretty excited. And he's excited, which is good. Wade, we were going to talk a little NCAA women's basketball, but you made mention of something during the video with Coach Mason that made me a little antsy, and I had to go look. And sure enough, transfer portal news continues as MTSU's leading scorer, Justin Porter, is in it, according to NashvilleHoops.blog. Scored right under 14 points a game for MTSU this season, including a 41-point performance against UTEP. Shot 40% from the floor on the year. Earned second-team All-Conference USA honors. So he is in the portal. And again, as we've said on numerous occasions, just because he's in the portal doesn't mean he's gone, but certainly doesn't mean he's staying either. So, wait, I can't hear you.
Your natural inclination would be, that's thinking maybe leaving rather than staying. But, and I know he's a company man, but I asked Chip about the transfer portal on Tuesday, and he had mentioned he didn't really mention much, and obviously may not have known much. Not that I expected to glean much, but yeah, we've seen Middle's going to have a couple guys potentially entering, and yeah, this is obviously one. You know, we're seeing what Broome obviously has done at Auburn, and that is kind of setting the standard as it sits right now for guys at the middle tier of college basketball. Hey, this is what you could potentially go on to achieve. You know, you could be a potential player of the year candidate.
Well, I mean, Broome, Dalton Connect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when mid-major guys see that, then sure, it makes sense. But everybody ain't Janai Broome and Dalton Connect either. So, meanwhile, Belmont continues to take hits as Kyler Vanderjagt, who played in every game coming off the bench, is in the transfer portal as well. So, the hits keep coming for the Bruins.
Yep, you got to recruit. You got to recruit to keep your own team more than you got to recruit to bring them on campus. It feels like these days. And Belmont, like you said, the hits are coming right now for the Bruins.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, man. It's tough. It's a position. That's a situation that I don't think Casey has really been in since he's been there, and it'll be interesting to see how they battle back or battle through this. Vanderbilt women made their first NCAA tournament appearance since 2013 and picked up their first victory in that time, downing Columbia 72-68 up at Virginia Tech last night. So they will play 5th seeded Baylor tomorrow at 5, and that game will be on ESPNU. Blackman's Ayanna Moore scored 22 points. Sasha Washington with a 16-point, 14 rebound double-double to help power Vanderbilt. 4 double-digit scores. Camille Pierre had 11 points. Justin Pissett scored 10. And while it was a 4-point game at the end, I don't know that really this one was ever in a whole lot of debate, maybe. It felt like, from as much as I was able to keep up from covering a baseball game, it felt like every time I looked at a score, Vanderbilt was leading. So,
yeah, it seems like they took care of business, like you said. Now, getting a date with Baylor, and kind of a nice win. And this is what you got to love about college athletics. If you Google Vanderbilt First Four, you see an article last night from Vanderbilt's website. The doors march on. Meanwhile, the Columbia website said Columbia pushes Vanderbilt to the brink, 72-68. So the PR spin, depending on which set of glasses, I guess you want to put on that day, right?
Well, you've been that guy though, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm Columbia, yeah, no doubt. I'm pushing Vanderbilt to the brink, baby.
So it's all about the spin, right?
Yep. And you look at that, and if you're a Columbia supporter, you're saying, all right, not bad.
Yeah.
They outscored Vanderbilt down the stretch, 22-19 in the fourth. But like you say, in the second half, really, they outscored them by 5, which would incline me to believe, like you said, that Vanderbilt, they kind of took care of business in the first half and kind of just kept them at bay, as it were, in the second half more often than not.
Yeah. Saw some news on Twitter earlier. May or may not be a name that's familiar to a lot of folks, depending on how into women's basketball you are. But longtime Miami of Florida women's coach Katie Meyer announced her retirement earlier today, I guess. She had been there a while. I think she was at North Carolina, Charlotte, maybe before that. She has been in the women's game for a pretty good while and had a pretty good bit of success down at Miami. Took them to a handful of NCAA tournaments, the Elite 8 last year, 10 NCAA tournaments. She was the 2011 AP National Coach of the Year. 362 wins in 19 seasons. So this is wild. She succeeded Fern Labate, who coached 17 seasons at Miami.
Wow.
So Miami has had 2 coaches in 36 years.
That is pretty crazy.
That's stability right there. Very interesting. She still had 4 years left on her contract, but she has decided to step down. She will step into a special advisor and ambassador role in the Miami athletic department. So, and there's certainly got to be worse places to coach than Miami or Florida.
Yeah, you would think. And Miami Herald's got kind of an opinion piece on it, talking about, maybe stepped away too soon. Obviously, that's kind of what you're thinking, anytime you got to deal with the change with the program that's not used to that. And they go to the Elite Eight for the first time last year. But, I mean, hey, at the end of the day, if you have kind of been around the block, you get a chance to, kind of hang up the whistle, as it were, and step into an administrative role a little more. Maybe she knows better than we do, obviously, on the timing.
Absolutely.
Of that thing.
Here's the thing. It's probably better to, particularly in this climate, probably better to step away too soon than too late, right? And
How often do we see that?
So few of us get to do it on our own. So when that opportunity presents itself, you might want to grab a hold of it. Obviously, we're going to hear the name. You've already heard the name, Caitlin Clark, quite a bit. Going to hear it a lot more here over the next 2 or 3 weeks until Iowa wins a national championship or gets eliminated. But there's an article on 24/7 Sports highlighting the next wave of women. And, women's basketball has not been any hotter than it is right now, and Caitlin Clark has certainly been at the forefront of that push. Couple of freshmen, Juju Watkins from USC and Hannah Hidalgo from Notre Dame, are kind of in that next person up role, I guess, along with Texas's Madison Booker. And you're going to have a chance to see a lot of these folks here over the next few weeks in the NCAAs as well. So I think that's part of the draw to women's college basketball right now. There feel like, and as I'm on social media a lot, it seems like there is more of a draw. There's more relatable names. There feels like there's more of a buzz around women's basketball. And I guess those up-and-coming stars behind Caitlin Clark seem to have a lot to do with that.
Absolutely. And to me, that's where it all stems from, is when you see a kid step on campus as a freshman, in the women's game in particular, we're not talking about the transfer portal as much. We're not talking about players leaving to go pursue professional opportunities, whether overseas or now obviously in the WNBA, as much. Right. And so you get to build and kind of grow, which is really that throwback kind of mentality that kind of led to a lot of people falling in love with on the men's side of college basketball. You would see these kids grow before your very eyes. And on the women's game in particular, you get to see it a lot more, which makes kids like a Caitlin Clark, obviously kind of bearing the big torch here, makes it just more fun, makes it more entertaining because you get to stick with them a little more. And I heard a great piece the other day. When an NFL free agent signs a deal, you know you're going to get him for at least 3 years. When a kid signs as a freshman, you may not get him but for the 1 year.
Yeah, and it's kind of tough that's where we are in college athletics, but that's kind of where we are in college athletics. So where we will be tomorrow at 2:00 is right here. So be sure and join us on Main Street Sports Today in the Lee Company studios, brought to you by the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance of Columbia. That's Wade Neely. I'm Maurice Patton. We will see you guys tomorrow at 2:00.